Year two, week four, the door just got kicked open. All right. Let's get ahead and get started. Welcome back to another DNS address. Week four brought us two massive ranked victories, a walk-off field goal, the first win for Northern Illinois in the DNS history, two Mississippi State defensive touchdowns, and Georgia Tech winning by 41 points because apparently allowing a touchdown would have been considered rude. Georgia Southern knocks off number 5 BYU. Old Dominion survives number 9 Kansas State. Northern Illinois finally entered the win column, and Sacramento State discovered a revolutionary offensive strategy: throw the ball to its own players. The door for national rankings just got kicked open. Let's get into it. Our headline of the week is Georgia Southern takes down number 4. Number 4 BYU entered Statesboro, expecting to continue its undefeated march. Georgia Southern had other plans. The Eagles win 24-14. That was not an offensive shootout. It was not a track meet. It was physical, controlled football. Bryan completed 12 of 23 passes for 118 and threw one interception. But when the passing game struggled, Bryan became the running game. 8 carries, 100 rushing yards for him with 2 touchdowns. The quarterback reached triple digits on the ground and scored twice. Apparently, Georgia Southern looked at a traditional quarterback job description and said, that seems optional. Todd added 69 rushing yards. Cam led the receivers with 56 yards. The defense recorded 3 sacks and held the number 4 team in the country to 14 points. That is the story. Georgia Southern didn't need offensive fireworks. The Eagles controlled the game, limited mistakes, and made BYU uncomfortable for 4 quarters. 1 week after defeating number 14 Louisville, Georgia Southern takes down number 4 BYU. The Eagles are now sitting just outside of the top 25. 2 ranked victories in consecutive weeks. The voters may need to stop pretending they can't see Statesboro on the map. Georgia Southern enters a bye week. The resume will have time to speak for itself. Old Dominion wins at the buzzer. Number 9 Kansas State traveled to Old Dominion, and the Monarchs delivered one of the wildest victories of the season. Old Dominion wins 48-45. Kameron Komar connected on the game-winning field goal, 43 yards right through the uprights ball game. Ricky Burns completed 25 of 40 passes for 284 and a touchdown. He also threw 2 interceptions, but also rushed 7 times for 139 yards and another score. 139 rushing yards from the quarterback. John Valerio was even more ridiculous. 19 carries, 182 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 5 receptions, 73 receiving yards, 1 more touchdown. That's 255 total yards and 4 scores. Valerio did not have a good game. He had a full-time job. Charles Jackson added 73 yards and another touchdown. Christopher Warren caught 9 passes for 111. The defense didn't record a sack or surrender 339 rushing yards to Kansas State running back Will Henderson III, who earned the Offensive Player of the Week, 339 yards, mind you. Old Dominion didn't stop him. They merely waited for him to get tired. Fortunately, the Monarchs had enough offense to survive. Old Dominion is also just sitting right outside of the top 25. After scoring 70 last week and defeating number 9 this week, the voters are officially running out of excuses. The Monarchs travel to Missouri next week, though. Northern Illinois finally breaks through. Ladies and gentlemen, it finally happened. Northern Illinois wins 33-17 over FCS West. The Huskies earn their first victory in the DNS Dynasty history for themselves. Brown completed 14 of 21 passes for 164 yards and a touchdown. He also threw 4 interceptions. Even during the celebration, Northern Illinois made sure the coaching staff still had something to complain about, but the running game took control. Coolidge rushed for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. Porter added 97 and another score. Hack caught 5 passes for 99 and a touchdown. And Northern Illinois' defense completely took over. 12.5 sacks, 1 pick, 2 forced fumbles. Mitch Childers led the way with 12 tackles, 3 of them for loss, 2 sacks. FCS West may be looking for its quarterback under the turf. It was not perfect. It was not clean, but it was historic. Northern Illinois is finally in the win column. UTEP next week for them. Now the challenge is turning one victory into momentum. Mississippi State's defense takes over. Mississippi State traveled to Kentucky and earned its most complete victory of the season. The Bulldogs win 35-23. Coolidge completed 20 of 28 passes for 236 and 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, no late game disaster, no 1-point finish requiring medical supervision. Progress. PhD rushed 27 times for 97 yards and a touchdown. Johnson caught 6 passes for 86 yards. Riley Williams added a touchdown reception, but the defense stole the show. 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, and 2 defensive touchdowns. Amari Williams reached 10 tackles, an interception, and returned it 10 yards for a touchdown. His performance earned him the National Defensive Player of the Week. Jalen Smith added 8 tackles, 2 for loss, and returned a fumble 43 yards for another score. 2 defenders, 2 touchdowns. At that point, Mississippi State's offense could have started charging the defense rent for using the red zone. Or using the end zone, correction. The Bulldogs do improve to 2-2 and enter a bye week. It is much needed. Georgia Tech commits a public demo. Number 17, Georgia Tech hosted Virginia Tech. Georgia Tech wins 44-3. 3 points. That's all that Virginia Tech managed. Klutz completed 28 of 38 passes for 378 and 2 touchdowns. Komar rushed for 108 and 2 scores. Shaw caught 7 passes for 131. Gatling added 78 yards and a touchdown. The defense recorded 4 sacks and recovered a fumble. Georgia Tech has now scored 55 against Tennessee, 48 against Pitt, and 44 against Virginia Tech. The Yellow Jackets are 3-0 and have outscored their opponents 147-41. That's not a strong start. That is an announcement. Next week, number 11, Georgia Tech travels to number 22, Notre Dame. Now we found out if this machine travels. Troy keeps running. Troy defeats Buffalo 42-28. Raj Waldrop threw for 193 and 2 touchdowns. He also threw 2 picks. And once again, Troy's running backs made the passing mistakes less important. Roche added 23 carries for 240 and 2 touchdowns. Griffin added 88 yards and 2 more scores. That's 328 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns between 2 backs. Troy doesn't have a backfield. It has a controlled demolition crew. Miles caught 4 passes for 91 yards and a touchdown. Boyd added 72 yards and another score. The Trojans improved to 3-1. Next week, number 10, BYU travels to Troy. BYU just lost to Georgia Southern. Now the Cougars must deal with another DNS rushing attack. Condolences to the linebackers. Sacramento State was able to respond. They defeat Memphis 41-24. Sam Babcock completed 21 of 36 passes for 319 and a touchdown. Most importantly, 0 interceptions. After 13 interceptions across the previous 2 games, the Hornets finally stopped operating a football donation center. Rainey rushed for 58 yards and 2 touchdowns. Godley added 80 yards. Moses caught 4 passes for 113 and a touchdown. The defense was able to record 2 sacks and an interception. Sacramento State improves to 2-2. Travels to Eastern Michigan next week. Turns out protecting the football helps. Who knew? Arkansas State falls at home against Missouri State 46-22. Ryan Rivers did have a good day. Threw for 254 and a touchdown, but he added 2 interceptions. D.D. Murray scored twice, but was held to 43 rushing yards and ended up losing a fumble. Tyler Little caught 9 passes for 92 yards. Kyle Williams led the defense with 11 tackles. Arkansas State falls to 1-3 and travels to Georgia State next week. The Red Wolves need better ball security, better defensive execution, and fewer opponents from Missouri, it seems like. Our stock-ups this week, Georgia Southern back-to-back ranked wins number 14 Louisville, now number 4 BYU. The voters need to make some room. Old Dominion, 70 points last week, a victory over number 9 Kansas State this week. The defending Sun Belt champions are making noise again. Georgia Tech, 3 games, 3 dominant victories. Now ranked number 11, the Yellow Jackets are officially a national factor. Northern Illinois, the first DNS victory is finally secured. Enjoy it, you earned it. Our Need More Film of the Week, Arkansas State's defense, 46 points allowed at home to Missouri State. That can't happen. Northern Illinois' passing decisions, 4 interceptions in the win. Celebrate tonight, review the film tomorrow. Old Dominion's run defense, Will Henderson III rushed for 339 yards. Old Dominion may have won the game, but the tackling report may need to be submitted as a missing persons case. Our Week 4 honors, our Offensive Player of the Week this week was John Valerio from Old Dominion, 255 total yards, 4 touchdowns, a major role in defeating number 9 Kansas State. Our Defensive Player of the Week is the Sam linebacker, Amari Williams from Mississippi State, 10 tackles, 1 reception, 1 defensive touchdown. Williams helped turn a road game at Kentucky in a Mississippi State most complete victory of the season. We love to see it. Our built but not given award this week goes to Northern Illinois. The Huskies entered Week 4 without a victory in the DNS Dynasty in 2 years now. They've suffered through turnovers, blowouts, and one difficult season after another, but they kept showing up. Against FCS West, Northern Illinois rushed for more than 250 yards, recorded 12.5 sacks, forced turnovers, and finally finished the job. The first victory was not pretty. It did not need to be. It was built. It was not given. Our early Heisman watch, we have halfback Joe Jackson from number 13 South Florida. Joe Jackson entered Week 5 as the leading Heisman candidate. His signature performance remains impossible to ignore. He had 337 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, and a 1-point victory over Mississippi State. South Florida returns from the bye week this week and travels to Charlotte next week. Every defense knows exactly who must be stopped. So far, knowing has not helped. Our Week 5 spotlights, number 11, Georgia Tech at number 22, Notre Dame. Georgia Tech is unbeaten and averaging 49 points per game. The Yellow Jackets face the biggest test of the season, win in South Bend. And Georgia Tech enters the heart of the national playoff conversation. Other spotlight, number 10, BYU at Troy. BYU enters after losing to Georgia Southern. Troy enters with one of the most productive rushing attacks in the dynasty. Can BYU recover, or will another DNS program send the Cougars home with a loss? Old Dominion at Missouri. The Monarchs have defeated number 9 Kansas State. They have taken the higher power offense on the road. Let's see what they can do. And number 13, South Florida at Charlotte. Joe Jackson returns from the bye with an early Heisman spotlight firmly attached. Around the rest of the dynasty, UTEP is visiting Northern Illinois. Sacramento State travels to Eastern Michigan. Have fun in the gray. Arkansas State travels to Georgia State. UMass visits Central Michigan. Ohio visits Texas State. Georgia Southern and Mississippi State are on a bye, much needed. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, Week 4 kicked the door open. Georgia Southern defeated number 4 BYU. Old Dominion survived number 9 Kansas State with a walk-off field goal. Northern Illinois earned its first victory in DNS history. Mississippi State scored 2 on defense. Georgia Tech improved to 3-0 with another dominant performance. Troy rushed for more than 300 yards. Sacramento State finally remembered that interceptions are not mandatory. Georgia Southern and Old Dominion are waiting just on the outside of the top 25. And this week, the voters may not be able to keep them out much longer. Next week brings number 11, Georgia Tech at number 22, Notre Dame, and number 10, BYU at Troy. The rankings are changing, the pressure is building, and the DNS programs are beginning to force their way into national conversation. Build on the win, respond to the loss, protect the football, and if you allow 339 rushing yards, make sure you have 48 points already. In the Department of Natural Selection, you select, we collect, built, not given.